Okay, we'll begin here with Ben. Sorry, we're just having a bit of internet issues here. Go ahead, Ben.
Okay, thanks, Rod. Thanks, Ross, for the time. I guess, Ross, just wondering what kind of abilities, skills Chris Bassett brings to your starting rotation for 2023 and beyond.
Yeah, really excited. It was really good to have a former teammate, obviously, and talking to Matt Chapman about the teammate that he is, the person, that influence that he'll have in our clubhouse. The Arsenal is unique in that it is so dynamic. I think our catchers are going to have a good time getting up to speed with game calling and being prepared for the depth of his arsenal. There aren't too many pitchers in the game that can say concretely that they have 7 weapons, if not more. So really excited about the person, the teammate. The competitiveness has always stood out to us as being elite, and learning more about it from his former teammate and others around the game. Feel like it's an incredible compliment to the team.
And obviously it was announced about a week ago. I'm sure we'll hear from Chris on this too, but when did talks really heat up from your standpoint? What was the progression there as you guys made contact with him and his camp this offseason?
Yeah, early on, we identified him as a significant potential addition for us. And then as the market took shape, the discussions got more in depth over the several weeks prior.
Cool. Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Hey, Ross, thanks for making the time today. My first question for you is, how do you like where the rotation is at now? Are you looking for more arms, or how do you feel it's shaped up?
Feel really good about it. Feel like it's top 10 for sure. You could argue top 5. We think it is, and feel good about some of the opportunities that will be created for others in our system. But an incredible starting point from a starting pitching standpoint, with a lot of excitement around bounce back with Jose Barrios. Obviously an incredible year by Alek Manoah and Kevin Gausman. And now to add Chris Bassett to that is a great addition. We'll continue to think about ways to improve it, but feel like we're in a very, very strong position.
And I'm curious, as the offseason continues, what are some of your targets, either through trade or free agency, to continue to work on the roster in general?
Most of our focus has been on run prevention as we've thought about how we can do a better job. In many ways, we feel like we've improved with the addition of Swanson, the addition of Chris Bassett, the addition of Kevin Kiermaier on the run prevention side. And now we'll shift to offensive improvements and where those opportunities present themselves, and continue to think about raising our ceiling in that area, which again, incredible starting point. I think we entered the offseason as, if not the strongest team, certainly one of them. And now building upon that, we feel like we're in a good position.
Thanks, Ross, and happy holidays.
You too, John.
Go ahead, Ethan.
Ross, thanks for doing this. Chris Bassett's going to be 36 by the time his contract's done. In your evaluations of him, what makes you confident that his pitching profile will age well through to the end of the contract?
The things I mentioned, just how dynamic he is, and it's such a unique profile. Someone that is so aggressive with so many weapons is not fun to hit against. And his feel and athleticism has been consistent in the game, and we feel that is going to continue to be the case over the course of this contract.
On a bit of a different note, I guess this has been a big offseason in terms of spending around the league. I'm curious what your reaction is to some of the contracts handed out, and if maybe you expect this to kind of be the new normal for baseball going forward.
Every year is different. I think this, obviously this year, there's certainly been a tick up in terms of dollars spent for contribution, and that's exciting for the game. To me, that means that there's positive momentum in so many places. I love seeing it. I love seeing players be celebrated, be compensated exceptionally well. It's by far the hardest thing to do in this industry is play. And so when that's happening for players, I see it as nothing but positive. Having said that, there's always ebbing and flowing to markets and how that impacts cost moving forward, how that impacts compensation moving forward, we'll see.
Thanks.
All right, Ethan.
Your turn, Caitlin.
Hey Ross, thanks for your time.
Sure.
Just kind of jumping off a little bit of Ben's initial question, just what Bassett brings to your rotation. Was there a certain part of his attributes that were especially attractive to you guys? I'm thinking maybe like the durability that he's shown, or the, I guess, the flexibility and the number of pitches. Was he an especially good complement because he's kind of different, or he offers different things than what you guys already have?
I think the only thing I would add to what I just said is how good we feel about his competitiveness and what that could mean in a playoff setting.
Okay, that's helpful. And also just in terms of, you've spoken a lot about run prevention and how that has been the priority. Do you feel like you guys are settled there, and will that shift to more run creation at this point, thinking about an additional bat for your lineup or for the bench or for the outfield or whatever it may be?
I think the most realistic outcomes moving forward and where our focus is at this point is focusing on run creation, certainly as a next layer of improvement, but certainly not closed off to adding to our bullpen and raising that ceiling. Feel like we have one of the best bullpens in baseball at this point. Certainly with the depth that we have, it's top 5 in our view. But we'll look to raise the ceiling on those fronts, on both of them in parallel.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, Caitlin.
You're up, Mitch.
Hey Ross, thanks for the time. Just kind of narrowing in on that kind of offensive additions. Are there any specific traits or positions you're still kind of looking at specifically?
Any specific trades for positions?
Traits or positions, like where are you looking to add on the offense right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way to do it is just think about a offensive, ideally left-handed complement to our team. And the easiest way to probably think about playing time is in the outfield at this point.
And then a bunch of the top free agent catchers have found homes over the last week or so. How has kind of the market for potential catching trade changed in the last couple of days?
You know, we feel like we have an incredible position of strength in our catching, and we are 100% comfortable remaining in that position of strength, which would mean we're not subtracting from it. We've talked a lot about Moreno's versatility, having depth in that particular position and how valuable that is. But the market for catching remains exceptionally strong. We have a very good sense for it because of us having depth there, and it feels like we're in a position of strength.
Thanks, Ross.
No problem.
Go ahead, Gregor.
Hey Ross, thanks for doing this. My question was going to be similar to Mitch's first one, so just one for me. Just kind of talking about trying to upgrade the offense and the run creation side of it. Obviously, it's a big financial commitment to Bassett. How are you guys with payroll right now? Do you have a little bit more room to grow, or is it kind of minor tinkering on the offensive side at this point?
Well, we have the room to grow for sure, but we're not thinking about anything as minor. So anything that we can do at this point, when you are a 90 to projected above 90 plus win team, the value of improving your team at that point is so significant that we will work hard to do that. But at the same time, we're not limited financially to do that. And we have to, when we think about how we're using resources, we're just always thinking about everything being sustainable and it making sense from a business and baseball standpoint.
I guess just one quick follow-up on that. I mean, you guys have had opportunities throughout the offseason, but you guys have also had kind of a pretty set lineup at the same time, and you guys have a lot of pieces in place, both in the starting lineup and the bench right now. And you're talking a little bit about trying to fit some at bats in the outfield. How challenging is that going to be with the guys you have in place? And obviously that is kind of a good problem to have.
Yeah, I'm really excited about John Schneider's ability to manage that. Also really excited about the mindset of our players. They're entirely focused on winning. They understand what comes with that is having depth, and then what comes with that is also oftentimes being open-minded about usage, about where they're playing and how players are being being deployed differently. And that John Snyder's done an incredible job on communicating with our players on that front, and our players have had great feedback.
Cool. Thank you, Ross.
No problem.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rob.
Hey, Ross. When we spoke with Kevin Kiermaier last week, he made it clear that he intends to make center field his own. And I'm wondering how that's going to configure once the season gets started, and what it means for George Springer and how George feels about just shifting over to whatever side he'll be at.
Yeah, so from the start, we've talked a lot about run prevention. I think over the course of Kevin's career, when he's played as many as 120 games, he's been the best defender in the game, and arguably one of the best defenders of all time. So that was a very exciting addition for us. It's not just limited to defense. His offensive impact, with an incredible impact from the base running perspective, will be significant as well. Exactly what I just said about winning teams and our players embracing that. I think Kevin understands what comes with a winning environment. George certainly understands what comes with a winning environment. And sometimes it means whether it's a different position or trading positions or sharing positions. That's one way to keep depth. Both are open-minded to it. George has been, absolutely on board with that, as he's demonstrated in the past. In the past year with us, we saw a lot of that shifting of playing time.
And as it stands today, Ross, how do you see your situation at the number 5 starter playing out with 2 months away from spring training?
Really good starting point to have. We're excited about the bounce back in Kikuchi as well, and having Mitch White on board, and then having some prospects that are exciting and up and coming is a good starting point.
Thanks, Ross.
Okay, Rob.
And Ben.
Yeah, just to follow up on the concept of adding offense, would you see that as likely being through one player, or are there scenarios where you kind of add multiple players to add offense from multiple sources?
I think with where we are right now, with our excitement around having added to our team last year and Whit Merrifield, having Kevin Biggio, who doesn't get talked about enough, he is going to be huge for us this year, and his versatility. I've had some great interactions with him recently. So the most likely scenario of addition would be in the form of one player because of the versatility that we already have.
Right. And then, obviously you guys stay pretty open-minded to trades and free agency. So I understand it's not an either or, but at this point, with the way things have moved, is there one avenue that is more promising as things stand on, I guess, December 19th?
Yeah, I don't think many teams can say that it could come from either at this point, and we very well can. We can say that easily, that it could come from either avenue, and that with a lot of our work already done, not having traded prospect capital, having areas of depth that we could trade from, and still having financial flexibility is a good position to be in.
Sounds good. Thanks for the time.
Okay, Ben.
Go ahead, Caitlin.
Just one more for me, a follow on Bassett. I just wondered, maybe the strides you guys took defensively, especially in the infield, and maybe pointing especially to Matt Chapman, how did that play a role in how you thought that Bassett would fit on your team?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, he has been very effective, over the last several years, and a really dynamic arsenal that does put the ball. Paul does get put in play to some extent. So certainly Matt Chapman's impact, the Kevin Kiermaier impact, the improvement of our players on our very strong core already played a role in that. But again, just I think the most exciting piece of Chris Bassett is we kept falling back on is just elite competitiveness.
Is that what Matt Chapman mostly talked about? If you're willing to share what was the highlight?
Yeah, more the teammate, more the teammate than the person and the influence and the impact, and just how, even if we're, that not talking about Chris Bassett specifically, but players, they do have an influence. Every single one of them has influence in our clubhouse, and we knew his back to Chris Bassett specifically would be powerful.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us for this, and thank you, Ross, for your time.
Anytime. Thank you, everyone.
And we'll see all you for Chris Bassett in the next hour. Thanks.
Queridos amigos, sigan con la máquina deportiva. De parte de José Alberto el Canario, un fuerte abrazo a todos ustedes. Siempre dándole su buena salsa. Míralo al revés. Mira que se te ve, llévatela.